that the country must draw the line to separate service from politics in the executive, judiciary, and the public service.
When a government or a political wing or political formation wins election, that manifesto should be handed over to the bureaucrats to reduce it into a development plan that will be run into. And then politicians should slightly step back and manage it by oversighting so that it can move in the direction that is required.
He then took issue with corruption that has dragged the country's progress. He compared Kenya to Singapore and Malaysia, where corruption is frowned upon, and any linkage to such allegations haunts the conscience of many.
It is shameful in Singapore to be identified with corruption. People jump over the windows and balconies. When you are suspected that, oh, you got some little money from an area that is unknown, people kill themselves before even government arrives to arrest them. We need to instill that culture, and we need to tackle this corruption head on.
Now, and then he spoke of tribalism that continues to inform public appointments in Kenya.
You are promoting somebody, putting somebody in a very critical strategic area because he is coming from your tribe. And you know for sure the certificates that he is presenting are from River Road. Barely literate. But since you are in power or in your decision-making office, you just bring incompetent people and it messes up development of the country.
Now, Felix Koskei is the President's Chief of Staff, a key advisor and implementer of the President's decision. He also called out Chapter 15 commissions and independent offices, saying that majority of them cling on to independence while abdicating on their duties.
But if you want to say you are independent and you are not doing what you are supposed to do, for sure, they say nature a boss, we shall step in there. You will run to court, you will get the orders, we unleash the public against you.
As a political appointee, what does the President's Chief of Staff think of those words? Shouldn't he be the first advocate of the independence of institutions? Should those institutions now be scared? What's the place of constitutionalism in the wake of politically driven leadership of the public service? While it's quite in order to freely express self, shouldn't some voices hold more weight than others? What's your sense of these words? That's my sense tonight.
This week, two videos circulated widely in Kenya. Both involved the police. But if you watch them side by side, you could be forgiven for wondering whether we are dealing with one police service or two completely different institutions, depending on who is standing in front of the uniform. In the first video, recorded at the Diani police station, a foreign national, a Dutchman, stood before Kenyan police officers and insulted them.
Go, there. I don't want to see your face anymore. Now, out of my office. Out of my office. Now, leave.
He shouted at them. He spat at them. He even wiped mucus on the uniform of a police officer whose only visible response was stillness, perhaps in shock, perhaps restraint, or perhaps something else. He did not just disrupt the station, he took charge of it. He spoke over the officers, strutted about the room, and dictated the tone. I would really love to believe that this remarkable gentleness from the police had absolutely nothing to do with his nationality or the color of his skin. That we simply happened to witness the most patient and controlled police officers in the country. The kind that many Kenyans do not encounter on highways, at protests, or even at an ordinary police station. But then came the second video, this one from Eldoret. Now, this video shows a police officer harassing a defenseless Kenyan woman. No hesitation, no restraint, no waiting to assess the situation, just pushing and shoving a woman. So in 1 week, the police showed us two extremes: meekness where firmness was required, and force where humanity was required. The contradiction is not just visual. It is about who the police believe they can confront and who they believe they must not upset. Because we know, and we should not pretend otherwise, that a Kenyan without a foreign passport, without that complexion privilege, could not walk into a station, spit on officers, and walk out upright. Now, when authority collapses, trust dissolves. And when trust dissolves, the law becomes negotiable. This week, the National Police Service entered a quiet note into the nation's occurrence book. Not about crime, but about esteem, about dignity, about who they believe deserves respect and who they believe deserves force. Because this week we saw the law, but we also saw its bias. My prayer is, may our systems learn to treat dignity as a right and not a privilege. And that is my memo. Sam, sijui kama tuko na maoni ya wananchi?
Maoni ni mengi, japo wengi wanasononeshwa na hali ilivyo kwa jirani.
No.
I was trying to get the comments, but there are some people who are saying that and some of them you cannot read because they are mocking Tanzania while taking advantage of what will happen in 2027 in Kenya.
Yeah.
Then one is saying there needs to be checks and balances in the management of elections. Another one is saying that CCM is a revolutionary party, not a reformist. That's Paul Muito. But also there are many people that are surprised that the legal framework that exists in Tanzania is the way it is. Mwingine anasema okay, they are not very nice comments.
Yeah.
About the relations between Kenya and Tanzania. So allow me not to read them because they're also making some political comments. So tutasoma. But I think, like we said, we have so much work to do, even as journalists, to cover whatever is going on. Yesterday, when I spoke to the International Secretary of Chadema, he told me that his being in studio is such a gift to the people of Tanzania because they don't have a way of expressing themselves. I'm even wondering, whatever you're discussing here, because usually you have viewership in Tanzania, are they able to see it, knowing that there's a shutdown on the internet?
Even there was power outages at some point,
Yep.
and the curfew also.
But I think also it's that realization that we should not take for granted what Kenyans are able to enjoy here, and we must defend it with our all to make sure that we never get where Tanzania is today.
True. And of course we want peace in Tanzania. Jirani hawezi kuwa naumia, and we don't speak out about it. That's the end of our show tonight. We thank you for watching. The conversation continues online, as Sam said. The hashtag is NewsGang. Tukutane tena wiki ijayo inshallah, and we wish you a pleasant night. Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Alamsiki.